Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. First of all, if there is a deal, well, we know what we have to do, and we know what is our timetable. Second alternative, the no-deal scenario. As others, I believe there's no majority for that in the House of Commons, so probably we'll be able to avoid that. But of course, we have to prepare our contingency plans. What we really have to discuss is the third alternative, the possibility of an extension of the Article 50. And there I think we should be, of course, flexible to avoid a no-deal scenario and to give room of maneuver to find a workable political solution for all this mess. Of course, asking for clarifications on the purpose of this extension, but also being flexible because that's the way out to avoid, to really avoid a no-deal scenario. But what I would like to comment on is on this idea of a short-limited extension. And the first thing I would like to say very clearly is that there is no position of this Parliament on the length of a possible extension of Article 50. There is nothing on that on our resolutions. So if there is no position of this Parliament, there is no mandate for anyone to speak on our behalf on the issue of the length of this extension of Article 50. So any position expressed on this issue can only be presented as a personal opinion and nothing more. Then on the short limited extension as such, I would like to recall that according to the statement of Mrs. May, it will only happen after a first vote, a first meaningful vote, which in fact will be the second meaningful vote, refusing the deal. So we will be in that position after, for a second time, the House of Commons has made a political refusal of the deal. It looks like that even in that scenario, the idea would be to have a short limited extension in order to avoid having the European elections also in the UK. So in fact, this is designed as a strategy to avoid the European elections in the UK. Now, from my point of view, a short limited extension is both absurd and unacceptable for this Parliament. For three reasons. The first reason is that any extension must have a purpose. And after a second refusal of the deal, it is obvious, at least for me, that 3 months is not enough to build any other solution. Of course, it's not enough for a new referendum, it's not enough for general elections in the UK, but it is even not enough to build an entirely new strategy of negotiations by the UK, to build a new cross-party consensus that would lead us to a third version of the deal. So I think that the first reason is that 3 months is not enough to have a reasonable purpose of this extension. The second reason is that a short limited extension is incompatible with the functioning of the European Parliament. Because if we are in that situation that the deal is refused a second time in the House of Commons, then we will be in the position of moving forward to the European elections without being sure if there will be a third version of the deal. And the Parliament, the European Parliament, will be asked to have, if a new cross-party approach is built, if a new version of the agreement is negotiated, then the European Parliament will be asked to have an extraordinary session, I don't know, by the end of April, early May, before the European elections, during the electoral campaign, and I don't see how can we have a serious political debate on an unknown deal in these conditions. So the second reason is that a short limited extension is incompatible with the functioning of the European Parliament. And then from my point of view there's also a third reason, which is even more serious than the other ones, is that the European Parliament risks to be dragged into a legal and political crisis if we find out a few weeks before the European elections, or as some say, after the European elections, that after all there is no deal, after all Brexit hasn't become legally effective. Now we have a new composition of the Parliament that can only takes place if Brexit becomes legally effective. Now what I want to avoid, I think we should all want to avoid, is to see the European Parliament dragged into this mess and a legal crisis with the citizens in the UK claiming for their rights to vote, and a problem of legitimacy of the Parliament. So again, I think we should be flexible regarding the extension of Article 50, but we should also demand a purpose, a clear purpose for such an extension, and I don't see how a short, limited extension of Article 50 could be reasonable and acceptable by this Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you very much.